This is in the matter of the Deacon's children, file 14068NA and file 2351319DM.
All right, we're on record with this family for purposes of a dispositional review and permanency planning hearing. And then, of course, we have the pending divorce, which is clearly an overlap on a lot of the issues of custody, parenting time, and support. So we've opened up both cases for the record. And I look forward to the updates after appearances.
Lee Heist, Your Honor, we have two of the children here today. We have Stormy and Lilith.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Angie. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Ms. Taja Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Madrid.
Francesca Madrid, foster care worker from Fostering Solutions.
Angie Borders on behalf of the respondent mother, Chanel Deakins.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father, Aaron Deakins. Would you identify yourself?
Aaron Deakins, father.
All right, Ms. Heist.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to visit with the children in person. They were all at a visit at Mother's house. As you know, SD, we try not to use the full names because we're being recorded. SD stays with mom full time. So when the other two children are there, I was able to observe them, and the pets keep changing. Every time I come, they have a new one and lost one. But I saw mom say no to Stormy, and I saw, I'm sorry, SD do the appropriate thing. She wanted some ice cream at a time that wasn't ice cream time, and she put it back. And it shows that she respects her mother and that they have a relationship of respect. And I thought that was really nice. So all the children's needs are met in their different placements. The agency is recommending placement of the two children who haven't been reunited with their mother to be reunited. Just some observations about the family. The two girls are a year apart, basically, and they're very different. LD is very different in temperament from SD, and they're both so much fun, but being so close in age and right a year apart in school, you know, I wonder about that dynamic. And they've had some time now of separation, and I think that led to good things. Then the little guy is only 7, so he is quite a bit, he's a different gender, and he's so distant from his sister's worlds. So really lively kids doing all kinds of good things. The report is just so full of positives. I think it should also be noted that father had an upbringing that we see now through the psychological evaluation was pretty tough for him. So that he grew up understanding certain patterns that he's changing now for a more positive parenting role. And he is active in changing those habits or tactics, as Mr. Bailey says, so that he can be a successful member of the family, although a divorced member of the family. You can see that the evaluation is even recommending supervised and structured visits. So more progress to be made, but I don't disagree at all with the agency's recommendation to put the other two children back with mom. She's doing well, and it looks like a stable environment. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas, witness testimony today.
Your Honor, I think I know that I've been trying to call parents first to give them an opportunity, but I think I'm going to have Ms. Madrid go first just because we had a really long list of to-dos from the court. So I just want to make sure we all have that information and we can get that testimony done first.
All right, Ms. Madrid, come on up to our witness stand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, you can.
All right, proceed at will.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Madrid, thank you so much for your efforts in this court report. And for, Your Honor, for the record, I want to acknowledge our prior order in which we have the pseudo protective order in place where mom is not receiving dad's mental health treatment information and dad's not receiving mom's mental health treatment information. But as the court will receive both components, obviously. So I'm not sure how to address that on the record other than to acknowledge that the cover sheet may look different from what the LGAL, me, and the court have, from what Ms. Borders and Mr. Brooks have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure
Okay, Ms.
the
Madrid.
attorneys will let us know if there's an issue.
Thank you. Ms. Madrid, so thank you for separating everything out for everyone and getting that to whoever it needed to go to. Are there any updates or modifications to the report that you need to make for either mom or dad?
I will add a small update I received this morning from Renee Moore. It was a verbal update on the phone. She did not give me.
Ms. Madrid, you've known me quite a while now. I need you to speak up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I spoke this morning with Renee Moore. It was a phone call, so she did not give me a report, tangible report, but she did state that she and the family have closed services due to substantial progress. And she felt like there was no other concerns with the family. She did say that she will be available if any concerns arise or on an as needed basis.
Thank you for that. And the service provider updates, well, let's just go through the last order and what was required of the agency, okay? Thank you for highlighting that as in your report. Let's see, sorry, I'm just going through your list. Okay. As it relates to the psychological evaluations for the parents, you've indicated that you've provided each to their individual service providers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if there were there any further discussions that needed to be had on those evaluations, or did it seem that the service providers were already following the recommendations from the psychologicals?
It did appear that they were already following the exact recommendations from the psychological.
And let's see. We have reports from, I believe, Mr. Bailey, Miss Perez, and Miss Gray. Or am I missing anyone else that we got a report
Miller.
from?
Miss
Thank you.
Miller.
And Miss Gray, did you get an update from her? It sounded like there was going to be another assessment done more recently to determine if dad's still qualified for services.
I have not received that update from her. I did speak to Mr. Deacons this morning. He stated that he was reassessed, but I will need to touch base with her to get that information.
As it relates to facilitating a family team meeting for safety plans and the accountability contract, you've included those. Where it looks like the youth was able to engage in that process with you guys. Did that go very well, or is there anything you'd like to share on that point?
It did go very well. The youth was engaged in the meeting, and I had them, both mom and the youth, brainstorm ideas that were included in both the contract and safety plan.
As it relates to using a secure messaging app like My Family Wizard or App Close, it sounds like you've kind of been taking the role as like a mediator or monitor, I should say, of communications. For My Family Wizard, I know that in your report indicates you'll discuss budgeting to pay for that with a family. Is that something you've been able to discuss with maybe like the family reunification program? Is that something they can assist in help providing or paying for with the family?
I haven't directly discussed that, but because the family reunification program isn't something that's gonna maintain forever, I don't know if that would be the best option for the family, because they would rely on that.
And do you happen to know the cost off the top of your head?
I believe it's $19.99.
A month?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like a annual fee that you're aware of?
Not sure if there's an annual.
Okay,
Or most
Thank
likely
you.
yes.
Okay. And it looks like there has been an agreement regarding unsupervised parenting time for dad. And it looks
Yes.
like maybe a safety plan was signed with him as well.
Yes,
And has the safety plan continued to be followed? And was that something that he was able to create with you?
yes, we did create that safe plan over the phone, and there have been no concerns brought to my attention as of late.
Thank you. Generally speaking, how would you describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plans during this review period?
I would say for both parents, they are compliant. Ms. Deacons is fully compliant with her case service plan, and Mr. Deacons is also compliant with his case service plan.
Your recommendation today includes the children being returned to mom. Is that still, has anything changed to your recommendation?
Not at this time.
Have you been able to discuss the return home to mom with the children?
I have.
And do they, what is their opinion about going home?
I believe that, well, not, I spoke with all of the children. They all seem receptive about returning and reunifying together. No one reported any concerns. They visit a lot and unsupervised, so they've been spending a lot of time together and been able to individually also stabilize. So I think this is the best thing for them.
If the court were to return the children to Miss Deacon's care and custody today, what would the recommendation be for parenting time as relates to Mr. Deakins?
So with that, I would ask the court for some guidance on that point. We would and will be willing to support, provide transportation or assist with transportation. And we can also have family team meeting to discuss a schedule. As far as the details, I would look for some guidance on that.
What is Dad's current parenting time schedule?
He visits 3 times a week.
And your report indicates it's out in the community. Is that still accurate?
Yes.
The current house that he is staying at, I believe his aunt, has that been assessed if there could be like parenting time there?
No, the last that we discussed about housing, he was staying with his aunt. He would update me when he moved back in with his mother, where that is where he's plans to provide or remain permanently. But that has not occurred to my knowledge.
Have you been able to observe the paternal grandmother's house in the past during this case?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Do you have any, okay, do you have any concerns that it might not be appropriate?
No, I don't have any concerns or any reported concerns to me that it's not appropriate.
Okay, okay. The psychological for dad that was included in this report, that was completed back in June, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything from it that you believe is necessary for him to continue to work on before the court would expand any parenting time or need to revisit the idea of supervised versus unsupervised parenting time?
Not at this time. I would say that he is engaged with his therapist. I will need to get an update on if that's going to continue, but as of right now, he's engaged with his therapist and she is addressing things in the psychological, so I don't believe so.
Is there anything else that you would like to highlight from your report or just share from your knowledge of the case for the court to know today?
I would just say that one of the biggest reasons that we decided to only move Storming was because we were struggling with that parent-child authority bond. But I have been able to see several instances during unannounced home visits where she has demonstrated the ability to uphold that authority, grounding her, consequences for things that she does. She has also went to school and let the child know that she has to stay in school because at times She will report some non-emergencies. But I have seen her demonstrate that authority with the child, which has allowed them to stabilize a lot more.
Thank you. With it, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Madrid and would move to admit the court report in its entirety with its attachments.
I have no objection.
I have no objection.
Same for me.
Very well. Court report and the exhibits are received. Cross-examination, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Madrid, to summarize, you have reported no significant issues with either parent in terms of the case service plan. Is that accurate?
Yes, there's no significant issues. No.
They are both making progress with the direction you want them to go. I'm not implying that they're done, but they're making progress.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Why is it that dad is not getting unsupervised visitation?
He is.
Oh, he is getting it.
He's
Three times a week?
one time a week, and then the other two are semi-supervised.
All right, and this is at where?
In the community, so it ranges, some restaurants, parks, library, things like
Nice. How much parenting time does mom get?
that. She also visits 3 times a week, and hers are unsupervised, and she has one semi-supervised visit, but we will be moving to all unsupervised because
Do you anticipate more unsupervised visits for Mr. Deakins?
If I'm able to verify that he's going to still be engaged in services, yes, we would move to a more unsupervised time with guidance of the court on what that looks like exactly.
Now, if I understood you correctly, you are going to be recommending to this court that these girls all go back, or these children, excuse me, all go back to their mother. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Have you given any consideration to the children going to their father?
Not at this time, just because he has not had as consistent compliance as Ms. Deakins has, and he still has that concern of housing, and then we also had some instability with employment.
So what are the barriers to him having custody?
He has not maintained as consistent compliance with his case service plan as Ms. Deakins, and he also currently does not have housing that is readily available for the children. And we also had some concerns of instability with employment.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Borders.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Madrid, thank you. I just don't want to be make you testify to everything again, so I just have a couple little loose ends to tie up. So I want to make sure I understand, is it that there's some type of technical difficulties that are occurring through the app close program?
Yes.
And is it my understanding that even with those technical difficulties, my client has kind of coordinated a screenshot so that you would be looped in because she's able to see the entirety, but you're not, correct?
Correct. Yes, she has.
And App Close is a free app, correct?
Yes, that was recommended by Ms. Moore. 'Cause
Right,
the
and-
family resident needed to pay.
Are you agreeable to continuing App Close and rather than paying for the My Family Wizard app, as long as my client continues to loop you in on those conversations?
Yes, and I am working on getting that technical support as well, because it was working fine for a moment. But yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely something we can do.
Okay, now, if the court grants the department's request to return the children to my client, my question is, do you have a plan to, I guess, to add to the accountability contract safety plan or whatever that's currently in place that would allow for an exchange with Mr. Deakins that would avoid contact between my client and Mr. Deakins?
Yes, so that is the piece where I was looking for the court for some guidance. But I'm absolutely planning on having a family team meeting with all of the parties. And we can look at the accountability contract add or edit and resubmit those to the court, absolutely.
Okay, would it be agreeable, something just to consider, would you be agreeable to third party conducting the exchanges, is at least having a third party present if it were my client's mother?
For parenting time?
Yeah, it's just for the exchange period between
Yes.
the children and between Mr. Jenkins and my client.
I would, if it was someone that we can agree upon, yes.
Okay, so you would be agreeable to a third party standby to just coordinate that?
Yes.
Is that something you would insist upon, or just some type of mechanism to avoid is that something you're looking to make sure does not occur, that my client, Mr. Deacon, does not have contact with his exchanges? Or is
It's
that
not necessarily that they don't have any contact, it's more that they don't fall into previous patterns of domestic violence.
Okay, so it's something that you're going to look into during the family team meeting to
Yes,
try to build
absolutely.
something, okay. As far as the addendums to, that were added, I guess, to the case service plan after reunification with the one minor child and my client, the accountability, I'm referring to the accountability contract, the house rules and the safety plan. Is my client been compliant with all of the terms of those agreements?
Yes, she has.
Okay, and I understand you've already testified she's very compliant with the case service plan. What does she have left to do to complete her case service plan from your perspective?
At this time, I would say if the children are returned home, it would be continuing with FRP. She would be classified as high risk once the kids return home for a small period of time to ensure that everything is going well. And then that will gradually decrease as far as the need. So that is 5 hours a week. She would need to complete that program and just continue on with her services as long as those professionals are stating that.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Your Honor, my questioning is going to go a little bit into the issues of dad without being specific, because I think although we have domestic violence and we should keep their psychological separate, we should have given the same respect to mother. I think mother has a right and has to know a little bit about what was found about dad, so that she continues to take it seriously, that she needs to protect them. And but I will be very mindful in my questioning. So I just wanted you to know I'm not off script here, but.
Well, it sounds to me like it's a little off script. If he can't know hers, why should she know his?
As you know, he does know hers.
I don't know that.
Well, that's why the order was put into place, was because your client did have a copy of Ms. Deacon's psychological evaluation and apparently was using it.
Oh, not today.
Not today, but in the past.
Well, you know about it. I withdraw my objection.
All right.
So another barrier to father being the custodial parent for the children is the fact that in his professional evaluation, he was found to have had a history where he grew up with certain kinds of discipline and substance abuse in his own family, right?
Correct.
And because of that upbringing, I guess, he also has an elevated score that indicates that he needs some counseling and parent education, which he's done some of, to be a helpful, healthy member of the family, correct?
Yes.
So that is would you add that as a barrier to him having custody, that this test score that we have?
Yes.
And he's also scoring still, you know, as his depression that he's taking care of, but it is still a significant issue, correct?
Yes, again, this evaluation was in June, so his therapist has reported compliance since then. But that is something that he would need to maintain.
Okay. The domestic violence training that mom has had, we see a whole list of times that she went and got that kind of education about domestic violence, right?
Yes.
And dad also has gone to a professional to work through the patterns about domestic violence, correct?
Yes.
And there's still some more for dad to do.
Correct.
I note that in this report, the oldest child is in marching band and she has almost all A's, is that correct?
Yes.
And because we see that she's successful we're gonna be looking for that to continue when she is placed with mother. Is that true?
Absolutely.
And then the younger daughter has so many successes. You said that you observed her in the home to be guided by mother's instructions.
Yes, utilizing more authority and discipline.
And did that second child, SD, agree to certain rules in her mother's household?
She did.
And does she abide by those rules?
It appears that she is abiding, yes.
She got a new kitten recently, didn't she?
She did.
Okay, so the youngest child is having less bathroom accidents than he used to, correct?
Yes,
And he's sleeping better.
yes,
And so you'll be watching those data points to see how he adjusts to being back at home, correct?
correct. Mrs. Deacons will need to maintain his OT therapy.
And also the FRP is working both with the two younger children together.
Yes.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Redirect to Ms. Thomas.
I have no further questions on this, Madrid. Thank you.
Can you recross, counselors?
I should have asked this and didn't. Describe the relationship between the two parents. How would you describe it?
At this time, their communication is minimal. They communicate regarding parenting time, medical appointments, educational appointments, pickup and drop offs. That's from what I can see, that's,
Would you describe it as hostile?
no, not at this time.
Thank you.
I have no regard
No
or
redirect.
recross, sorry.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. Ms. Thomas, your next witness.
Your Honor, given the testimony today and the positive report, if I will not call anyone else, but if the parents would like to speak, I would hope their attorneys allow them to do so.
Mr. Brooks?
You want to testify? My client does not wish to testify.
Ms. Borders?
I'll call my client briefly.
All right, Ms. Deacons, come on up to our witness stand.
You did great. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
There's a step here, be careful.
You state your full name for the record.
Chanel Marie Deacons.
And you are the mother to the 3 children that are involved in this matter?
Yes.
And you have,
Excuse me, ma'am, I can't hear a word you're saying.
My name is Chanel Marie Deacons, and yes, I
You
am.
gotta do better.
My name is Chanel Marie Deacons, and I am the mother to these 3 children.
Thank you.
I'll keep it short so you don't have to scream every time. Now, you've seen your case service plan and court report for today?
Yes.
And skipping past your compliance with it and what's been testified to, do you understand that the recommendation is to return all of the children to your care today by the department?
Yes, I do.
Are you ready for that?
I've been ready for that.
You've worked really, would you consider that you've worked really hard to get to today to earn this recommendation from the department?
Yes.
Has there been any hiccups that you think that you would need some extra assistance from the department if the children were in fact ordered to be returned to your care today?
I can't see of any right now.
Do you have any recommendations as to, are you okay with using app clothes? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am okay with using app clothes.
Okay, and do you have any recommendations or preferences that you would just like to be known regarding how to handle exchanges so that you and Mr. Deacons maintain a proper exchange?
Our children are old enough to get out of the car and come into my car, do their goodbyes, and go into the other car.
So would maybe an exchange in a public location be something that you could accommodate?
Yes. And that's what SD has asked for.
Okay, so your child's actually requested, just let's meet at a location which is safe, like maybe the sheriff's department parking lot,
Yes.
and do the exchange.
Yes.
And, okay, so if the department were agreeable to that, that would be your preference?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other concerns or questions? I'm sorry, anything that you want the court to know about the recommendation by the department to return the children to your care today?
I'm just gonna work my hardest to prove that this is the right decision.
No further questions.
Ms. Thomas, any questions?
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
How would you describe your relationship with the father of your 3 kids?
Right now, we're being very cordial.
And how long has it been like that?
Well, since we got the app,
A week, a month, an hour,
well, we've been using the app for a month, I believe.
a month?
Yep,
So for a month, it's been cordial,
yes,
non-confrontational.
yes. If I need help with our middle child, I get that assistance with her.
Okay, that's all I have, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. Hicks?
In general, I wanted to call SD to the witness stand just for the experience and for a few questions. Do you think there's any reason I shouldn't do that?
If she is up to doing it, I am perfectly okay with that happening.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any redirect?
No.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from?
No.
Ms. Heiss?
Your Honor, I'd call SD to the witness stand.
Your Honor, may I move to ask the court to turn off YouTube live feed if we're having a minor testify?
Any objections?
None.
No, you're